going on, everybody? Welcome to part 3 of the entire Evans Gambit complete course that I am putting together here on YouTube. And so far, we have covered the opening moves, of course. Knight f3, knight f6, bishop comes out to c4, bishop comes out to c5, and you strike with b4. We are still going over the accepted lines where the bishop takes and you play c3. We've looked at just the bishop going back to c5, extremely common, in which, of course, you just castle right away. We've also looked at the bishop backing up to a5, which you strike in the center. And after he takes, you just go ahead and castle. If he takes again, your bishop is coming out here and causing major damage. We went over that in part 2 of the series. In part 3, we're going to look at a rare move, but a move you have to be prepared for. And that is the bishop going back to d6. It looks funny because it's blocking this pawn, so you're not going to see it a lot, but it's actually not that bad. Because for one, when you're backing up here to a5, and then we strike here in the center, pawn takes, and we castle, we'll just take a look at that variation. Backs up, you play this move, here they take and you castle. This is cool because we're getting ready to possibly play this move, and the knight can't even jump over here to attack because it's taken by the bishop. So I love that. So it takes here, we're going right with this. We went over all this in the previous video, and this is really nice. Alternatively, if it just goes back to the starting place, this always gets us some good results because this pawn is getting ready to strike in the center and we'll be attacking the bishop. So something has to be done. So if they play something simple like this and we strike in the center here, you can't just castle. You'll take the bishop. So that's the difference. When the bishop backs up here, this square is still open for the knight, and this doesn't attack the bishop. That's why when the bishop goes back here, it doesn't work as well right off the bat for white. That's two things that I don't love, that kind of annoy me about this move, is that this doesn't attack the bishop, and it still leaves this square for the knight. I still recommend you break through with d4. After takes, we castle, just like the previous. This looks exactly like the previous variation, except the bishop is here instead of here. So that when this pawn takes, which is the first thing we're going to look at, pawn taking, because sometimes black is just going to be like, well, I'm going to take more stuff. More stuff, the better. He's going to take this. Previously, we looked, this was the move. When this bishop is here, we play this move because this knight can't mess with the queen. And so best here is actually just simply knight takes c3. And would you believe in this position, everything has seemed nice and calm, right? The one cool thing about this variation is right here in this position, because black, as you can see, is already losing. Black's already in trouble. And in fact, the best move right here is a move that I've never, ever seen black play. And that's king f8. And I may never in my lifetime see it. We will look briefly at it here a little bit later, just to be prepared, just in case. But that's probably not going to happen. More than likely, black is going to move out this knight, and to one of these two squares, we're going to look at both of these options. So just to recap how we got here, it's just a regular Evans Gambit. You attack. This is when the bishop goes to d6. That's what we're looking at today. You break through with d4. Pawn was probably going to take, and you just simply castle right here. And if black decides to just keep taking, this is very common, you take back with the knight, not queen b3, because the bishop is here, not here. Not queen b3. I mean, queen b3 is not the worst move in the world, but knight takes here sets up some great opportunities, because if something as simple as just knight f6, which looks like totally innocent move, you have, you can see a move that's just tempting. It's like, I don't know if it works, but it looks pretty good. Even though there is plenty of support here on e5, and you only have the knight, you still, because of this king and this rook can come over, you go for e5 right here. In this position, you go for e5. And what's going to happen is it pretty much has to take, because you're attacking both of these pieces. It doesn't really matter which one he takes with. These next few moves are the same moves I would recommend. We're going to look first at knight taking, And the cool thing is, regardless of what he takes with, you're going to take back, and he's going to take back. And whether this is a knight or a bishop here, in this particular example, it's a bishop. Regardless of what it is, you're going to play rook e1 and pin that piece to the king. So you're threatening to win that piece. And the obvious move here is d6. And that's the move we're going to mostly see here. Right here, the move is pretty obvious. If you're watching, you already see it. After d6, of course, it's going to be f4. It's pretty clear right there. That's going to win the piece. You have to be prepared for this move. If he does play bishop g4, you can't take because he's attacking your queen. Just play queen b3 now. There's no knight that's able to mess with the queen. You're threatening a check. You're threatening to win the bishop, completely winning the game right here. Let's back up to when I played rook e1. Right here, we played rook e1. Some opponents may try queen e7. Most won't, because f4 looks scary, but you just have to be ready right here and realize f4 is actually not the best move. Because if you play f4, you've exposed this diagonal. So if you play f4, the queen can come throw a check in and attack this bishop. You can take, queen can take. I mean, you're probably still, I think white is still winning, but it's not the best move. We can look at the bar on the side and you can see it completely drops down. It's the most common move because it seems like you're winning the queen or you're winning the bishop, but you're allowing this check. Don't allow black any kind of initiative here. You want to keep the initiative. And crazy enough, if you see queen e7 in this position, simply fianchetto the bishop, simply bishop b2, whether this is a knight or a bishop right here. We'll look at the other example here just to kind of recap, and we'll look at earlier on if the knight takes instead of, or if the knight ends up here instead of the bishop. If black decides just to castle right here and get safe, you have this move, knight to d5. You're attacking the queen, and you have now unleashed this attack, multiple attackers on e5. So even if he takes, you're going to take back, and you're going to win. You're going to winning material here. And of course, if he may actually just go for this, and and let you take the queen. It's not impossible. So he may sacrifice the queen. Either way, white is completely winning right here. So just to back up, let's go all the way back here. This is after these just simple moves. After the bishop goes to d6, you're going to break forward with d4. Takes, you just castle. Kind of same kind of line as the previous when the bishop went backed up here. But when he takes here, we don't play bishop here. We don't play queen b3 because of knight a5. Instead, we just take back. And this position looks so innocent, but something as simple as this, you push forward here. Earlier, we looked at the knight take. Let's take, if the bishop takes, same thing. You take back, rook e1. If he plays this move, you simply win the piece here with f4. And if he plays queen here, then you simply fianchetto. And if he tries to castle, you can play your knight up to f5, and you're completely winning the game right here. Let's back up quite a bit here, and we want to see bishop backs up here, take the center, takes, we castle, he takes, we take back with the knight. We look at this move, you push, let's look back again at the knight taking, knight takes, bishop takes, rook e1. We looked at what happens if queen e7. I said bishop b2 in this case. Bishop b2, getting ready possibly for this move. But what if he doesn't castle? What if he simply just plays d6? Well, now you can play f4 because now he just blocked off his queen from throwing in this check. So if he plays d6, now f4 is fine. There's no checks. There's no complications. You're just going to win this piece. And also another possible move here, I've seen queen c5 here, trying to defend like this, just getting the queen out of the pin right here, so that way f4 is still would work, but except for the fact you can't play because it's illegal. So it prevents f4 right here. But now knight d5 anyway, even though you're not attacking the queen. Yes, you are completely hanging the bishop right here. But if queen takes your bishop, we have rook e5, check, king It's going to have to go somewhere. King D8 maybe. Knight can go ahead and take here. And after G takes on F6, I think the rook, I think the rook just simply backs up. I believe E3 right here. And yeah, you can see white still with a massive advantage because what white is preparing here is checkmate. White is preparing to checkmate and end this game. This is mate. Next move, some random nothing move, and the game is freaking over. So the queen has to somehow defend. It has to either go to F4 or up here or somewhere to stop this checkmate right here on F6. But now Queen F6, Queen F3, and white, this game is going to be over in a second. You can take here, forcing the exchange, which exchange of queens to win the game. Actually, I mean, black is completely lost. He has to play like something to give the king an escape. But I mean, let's just be honest. I guess you just win the queen. Just win the queen. I mean, rook. I mean, game's over. Game's over. Pretty sure anybody can win from that position. So, just to be aware, if the queen jumps out here to C5, what to do in that case. Queen C5 here. You don't have to worry about this bishop. Knight jumps up here. Game is completely over. So back to the opening moves. Evans Gambit. We looked at B4. Takes C3. What if this weird move just busts down the center? Most likely, pawn will take. Castle immediately. And now, from this position, we're looking at black continuing to grab stuff. In this case, we might consider this, but wait, no, this is not that variation because knight can come out here. This was that weird bishop move blocking this pawn, so now we just take back. King has to play this is the best move. That ain't going to happen. If knight comes out here, we push. What about knight to E7? Anytime knight G to E7, in the Evans Gambit, you always think about this when he hasn't castled yet. When the bishop is here staring at F7, you already know from the previous video from part 2, this is the position for this. Knight to G5. And what happens if black castles? You already know. Boom! You're going to checkmate right here, or you're going to take right here after H6. So look at the previous part 2 video. I go into depth on this kind of an attack right here, and white is completely winning right here. Clearly, if rook takes, you take back with the bishop. So that's something to keep in mind. You do have to be prepared for what happened. And the cool thing here, in the other variation after this move, the best move is D5. The bishop's blocking the pawn, like we said. So there is that negative does come to black's detriment right here in the fact that he can't play D5. So what move can he play? He could try knight E5. This defends here and attacks the bishop. So it's a pretty good try right here. The best move here is actually just back up the bishop. You're still attacking here twice. Yes, this knight is protecting F7 for the moment, but you're getting ready to possibly play F4. Even if he attacks your knight, you just counterattack. Takes. Bishop will probably take on E5. But now you have a special move right here, which you can see with the rook is still staring down, the bishop still staring down, and bam! White is completely dominating this game. King F8. Bishop, discovered attack. Bishop H5, discovered attack. It is just discovered check right here. Yeah, I think we're doing quite well. Maybe King G8, and it looks like the bishop can just take more stuff right here. White completely winning. You have a pin against this knight because the queen is here. This game is just completely over. This knight's getting ready to jump possibly, if he can, into C5. The attack, look, the rook, look at everything. Game completely over. White just dominating right here. So that's just another variation right there to be ready for. Recapping here, this is going back. This is when, of course, we play this move. Bishop goes back here. We play D4 takes. Castles. And he continues to take. We just pick back with a knight. And if he plays this, we jump up here. More than likely, he'll castle. Queen is shooting out here. If he does play this pretty interesting move right here, we just simply back up. We're doing pretty well right here. Getting ready for F4. If he castles now, F4 immediately, he's going to have to counterattack, and we take, and it kind of transposes. But if he tries to move, now we have this move. So we're going to try to get that queen h5 in anyway. So let's look at another couple alternatives for black in that position that we've been looking at after you get into the Evans Gambit. And you have this weird bishop d6. We're going to play for d4. If he takes, we castle, takes again, knight takes, and right here, we looked at this, doesn't work. We looked at this, doesn't work. But there's also another idea. Keep in mind of a potential sacrifice. If you play something like knight to e5, I've seen this before. We can actually just take, the bishop takes, and right here, bam, and king takes, and we can win. You could either go to d5 or h5. You could go to d5 or h5, and you're going to pick up the queen. I mean the bishop. I keep on speaking here, but just take d5 maybe. But either way, you're going to end up winning this bishop right here. King is not castled, doing great. Same thing if after these opening moves, after knight takes here, like bishop e5, you don't even have to bother taking. Bam! Right away. Because after the king takes, now we have queen d5 again, and we're attacking this piece twice. So there's not a lot of good ideas. There's not a lot of good moves after this position. After knight takes on c3, there's not a lot of good moves for black right here. King f8, according to the computer, is the best move. And if that ever happens, knight b5, you're getting ready to take here. Takes back, takes with the queen. If you try something like a6, you're just gonna do like I said. So this is a pretty good move right here for white. This is very I've never actually been in this position. So never have really had a lot of practice with this position because it's so unlikely, but you can see white is completely winning right here. I just know I'm ready for knight b5, ready to snag this bishop. If bishop just backs up out of the way, the big move right here is queen d5, pretty much getting ready to checkmate. This move you could probably just take, and you're going to checkmate or win a piece. I don't even know how he defends it. I mean, it's pretty bad, but yeah, because white's just completely winning right here. So just keep that in mind if your opponent ever plays king f8 in this position. But backing up here, I just want to look at something else, because after this move and after this, he doesn't necessarily have to take here. He could just bring the knight out right away. But guess what? This is actually good because you'll be the one taking here eventually after this exchange. Takes here, takes here, takes here. You actually, rook comes over to e1. And guess what? You're going to be taking here on d4 and winning this bishop and winning this piece, whatever's here. So that's just it. If they don't take there and play the knight, and if they don't take and then just play this move instead of taking here, they just simply go for this. Guess what? You already know what time it is. Castles, and boom, all same stuff. So just ready, have all these weapons ready to go. And there's just, black has to be so careful in this Evans Gambit. And then of course there's the idea that he doesn't even have to take it all here. He could just simply bring out his knight, and that's actually the best move, as you can see. So what I'm going to do to finish out today's video is show an actual game where actually black is playing well, because black is high rated. This is going to be a game. I'm going to jump over here to this game here. Okay, this is a game right here between Giles Murky as white, rated 25-24, and Frederick Radinger as black, rated 26-88. So two high-rated players, and we're just going to follow this game and see how the Evans Gambit can be so intimidating and can create so many opportunities, even when black is playing really well. So let's get into this one. Okay, and so Murky Giles starts with e4, And then Rattinger plays e5. We have the knights come out. Bishop comes out. Bishop comes out. And here it is. It says it's an inaccuracy because Lichess maybe doesn't like the Gambit. But guess what? This is what this whole series is about. The freaking Evans Gambit. It's a freaking awesome move. You're going to get a lot of wins using the Evans Gambit. The computer may not like it because it's a computer. C3. And we have this move, bishop to d6. Break forward with the center. And in this case, like I was mentioning, you don't have to take. Black doesn't have to take. If he does play knight to f6, you just castle. And yes, black can castle, which means black is doing really well. From here, I usually play rook e1, and then getting ready for a knight to d2 after probably h6. In this game, knight to d2 came first, knight b to d2, then h6, and then rook e1. Like I said, I usually go rook e1. And then here, I guess it doesn't really matter. But those are two moves we're looking at here. This is a standard game with top moves right here. Rook e8. Just be ready for the top moves. And now queen can zoom out here. Yes, the knight can come here, but because the rook moved, you're threatening this check right here. So right now, queen has to play this move first. So queen to e7 just to defend f7 before the knight can even think about this. But then a4. So white being very aggressive now, going straight for it. Black decided to reroute his knight with this move h7, trying to move the knight somewhere else. Now, if black decided to play this instead of knight h7, you would have had to back up. But the knight is covering this, so if he takes, you would probably take with the knight right here. And white's still doing very well. You can see even the engine gives white the slight edge. Instead, Rattinger didn't do that. He played knight over to h7. White continues to push on with a5. Black rerouting the knight here. Computer doesn't like it. f8. And now white is rerouting the knight. Knight f1. Takes. And bishop here to try to take care of this pawn. Obviously, white's not going to allow that. We're just going to go ahead and defend. And if you want to take. And the knight takes. And you can see the purpose of that whole thing. Part of the reason this knight went down here is possibly foreseeing this entire thing where the bishop could come here and recapture with the knight on f1. So now you have this move. This doesn't really work because the knight's going to jump down here. And you can take, but they'll take back with this other knight attacking the queen. So queen backed up down to b2. Now just trying to relieve some pressure here, but we're going to let him do the trading, pushing e5. Look at this nice center right here. Look at how inactive black is. This bishop has been just stupid since the beginning of the game, still has no activity. This rook has just been sitting here chilling. Meanwhile, our pawn has been, moving up the board supported by the rook, and just the pawns here in the center moving along. Everything looks nice, even though, yeah, black has castled. King looks relatively safe, but white is slowly building an edge. And after this trade, black is so much doesn't know what to do that he goes back to f8 to help defend f7. Boom, attacking the knight. And we have this move. Black's just trying to trade stuff off, desperate. The queen moves to the side. Now he does take. Yeah, he does take here. But now that there's two attackers on this bishop has to get out of the way, and it goes to a great square here, preparing perhaps to go ahead and just apply insane pressure right here. With the two pawns here in the center, after this move, it's going to be a little too much. And sure enough, even if the computer doesn't love it, computer would have preferred moving the rook over first. This is still way too much for black to handle. He has to play g6. And now after attacking the queen, black throws in the towel, says, screw this, and resigns. So and you can see white has just slowly just gained an advantage throughout the game with just constant pressure and a constant edge in development. And that's what the Evans Gambit's all about. Getting that early, strong center. And you can see it's still playing a role here. And it got to the point where black just resigned right here. And it just tells you the power of the Evans Gambit right here. So hope you all enjoyed today's video. This one is all about we had to prepare it. This is a full course, so we had to look at all the potential places that black could go. We've seen, obviously, if he goes to A3, you just take it. We looked deeply in the first video into C5. In the second video, we looked into A5. And in today's video, we look at D6, where you play D4, takes, castle, and oftentimes they'll take again. You take with a knight, and already white with a huge edge, because black has to play this, and he's still losing. But, you know, something like this, obviously we know he goes here, we're jumping up here, getting ready for him to castle. Queen H5, we've seen that before. But if the knight comes out here, we're going to just push. There'll be a series of exchanges, and then we have this move right here. Remember, again, if queen comes out here, we just fianchetto the bishop. And we're getting ready possibly to play this move. Even if C3 is played to try to prevent it, bam! Knight F5 anyway. Why? Well, we already see this rook is about to, the queen is lost no matter what, because of this pin right here. This pin is too powerful. So the revealing this attack is so awesome. So that's why we fianchetto this bishop if the queen comes over here. It's really powerful. So that's just a look at what to do in the case of bishop to D6. Join us for the next one. We'll be looking at bishop back to E7, which something I love to see, because now this queen can't even protect F7. And now queen F3 is going to be very nice, because even if the knight comes here, we can take with a check. So that'll be for the next episode, and we'll briefly touch on bishop back to F8. And then on episode number 5, we'll look at it when the entire thing is declined, and when black doesn't even take the pawn when we play B5. So we'll look at that as well in the part 5 of this series. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Thanks for checking out the video. Let me know down below how it's going with the Evans Gambit, and we'll see you next time.